there, internet. How's it going? Welcome back to the show. Thanks for clicking on this one. My name is Pet Dan, and today we're here with user Cree, is how I'm going to choose to say that one. It's QR with 6 eyes. I believe it's 6. I tried to count. I tried my best, bro. They're asking, draw me, please. And we got some assortment of pictures here. This first one, it's got a weird filter on it. The colors are a little interesting. So that's kind of why I clicked on this post, because I was like, oh, that looks fun. I like how pale she looks in that photo. So we're going to go with that one. I am here for some excitement. I don't want none of that normal color stuff. You know, we got to mix it up every once in a while, because honestly, we do a lot of the same on here on the Pat Dan channel. And there's nothing wrong with doing the same thing. You know, we got to have our thing, our niche, which is a thing that I've heard echoed across the many small YouTube guides that I've seen. Niches are a huge thing. I don't know if you guys, I don't know how many of you are aware of like the YouTube growth strategies that have been put in place by, I don't know, probably like Mr. Beast or someone. Like somebody said this at one point. I'm going to imagine it was like Mr. Beast, and everyone followed and decided this was the only way to do things. And every single, if you look up right now on Google, like how do you blow up on YouTube, I guarantee your result is going to be find your niche and then cater to that niche and make sure that you have optimal thumbnails and titles, or otherwise the algorithm will not push your videos. And that's great that we figured that out. I've decided to ignore all of it for some reason. I don't know why. I don't care about success, which is not true. I care a little too much about success, I think. I need to reel back in terms of my caring about success. That's, I think, probably why I've decided to stray away, to trick myself into caring less about success. So it's a lesson that I'm teaching to me. And hopefully you guys can learn this lesson along with me. I don't know. I'm just saying stuff to try and make up for my idiocy. I think in general, I'm just kind of a stupid guy. But I mean, there are a lot of people who follow those rules, so I'm glad it works out for them, you know? I've seen, actually, there was this one guy who popped up on my YouTube homepage, and it was kind of an interesting thing to see, because it wasn't your typical YouTube channel. It was something that was extremely vastly out of the ordinary in ways I'd never ever seen before, because it was this guy, and his entire channel, he had been posting for like 13 years, no joke, 13 straight years of him playing games, and they were like hour-long videos, just long plays, and he was commentating over them, and there were no thumbnails, like there was nothing there to get people to click on it, but he was still committed. Like I rarely ever see people with that level of commitment and such a lack of care for like thumbnail, title, everything, all of the above. He didn't care at all, or at least he didn't seem to care at all. And that was very interesting to me, because I've never seen that before. In fact, I can pull it up right now. This is the channel I wanted to show you. I actually saw this video. It popped up on my feed. It was talking about how he was going to start slowing down his content after 13 years of consistent uploads. And it was really sad to see this. I kind of scrolled through his channel. It's all the same thing. He gets like no views on any of his videos. It's really saddening to see. I mean, it's great. Like, it seems like the guy loves what he does, but in the video, he seemed very, very disappointed. Like he was very sad that he had to make this update, that he wouldn't be posting as frequently anymore, as I think, you know, I'd imagine he would be. If he's been posting for this long, this level of dedication, he probably has an immense amount of love for the craft. He probably loves what he does, which is great. I mean, if the guy loves playing games and giving some, you know, commentary on I didn't really watch any of his videos, so I don't really know what he does, but I assume he provides some, you know, commentary, maybe some goofs and gaffs. I don't know. Maybe you guys can go out there and let me know, watch one of his videos. I only watched that update video because it was so intriguing to me. And the reason that I bring it up, even though it's a 3-month-old video, is because I remembered it recently. After a brief Reddit scrolling session, I have been suddenly converted to a Reddit scroller after starting to use Reddit Gets Drawn Badly to find reference images to draw for these videos. And, you know, I know it sounds horrible. I know how bad it sounds. When I catch myself scrolling Reddit, I have to stop myself and be like, is this real? Are we really doing this right now? Like, is this you? This is not you. This is not the Pat Dan I know and love. But it's true. It is me. I'm doing it, and I can't be stopped apparently, because I just love the game too much. I think, the Reddit suggestion page has created an algorithm that is almost as good as like the YouTube, TikTok, Instagram algorithm. And what really makes it so compelling is that it feels just like old internet chat rooms. Like they haven't updated their formula at all in terms of content. Like it is exactly the same thing that you'd be scrolling and seeing on the internet. Like, I don't know, when it was first invented. Like it's the equivalent of an old chat room, but they have like new style UI. And I feel like that is the appeal of Reddit to me. That's what's made me start scrolling on it. And I think I was scrolling on like the small YouTuber subreddit, because I don't know, somehow they got me hooked on that one. And somebody had made a post that was like, don't you guys feel bad for like the small YouTubers who have been posting for years? And that like gave me an instant flashback. It was like an anime flashback sequence where I was like, oh my God, I remember this beautiful video that I once saw. And so I had to pull up the video for you, because I gotta show you guys when I remember something awesome, and that was something pretty awesome to me. So figured I'd give it a shot, a toss your way, you know what I'm saying? And I was also that same day scrolling on the existentialism subreddit. Didn't know that all these subreddits existed. Like, having just now converted to a Reddit scroller, I'm discovering there is a deep like world that I have not been aware of for my entire life until now, when I've decided to start, engaging with it, by which I mean reading through some posts. And there's like a lot to be found on Reddit. I didn't realize how many subreddits there were, but after like a couple, hours of scrolling, like maybe one or two, accumulated over the course of the past few weeks, like I've realized there is a subreddit for literally anything you can imagine. So I somehow had landed on the existentialism subreddit, and that very same day as I was scrolling on the YouTube subreddit. And one of the things that, or actually, I guess all of the posts that I saw on the existentialism subreddit were just asking like, what is the point of life? Why are we here just to suffer? And it was like, like very, very bog standard, what pretty much exactly what you'd expect from a site called r/existentialism. Like you get what you pay for kind of thing. But it was actually kind of interesting. Like they did bring up some points that had me kind of scratching my head a little bit. And I feel like 99% of the time, like you're not thinking about like, oh, what's the point of life? Because that's just not something that like you need to be thinking about. Like it's just not, I don't know. It's not something that you should be thinking about, because when you do, that's how you get like bogged down in the pain and suffering of being trapped on this mortal coil with no purpose. Like that's how all of the responses to every single post on r/existentialism went. It was, what is the point of life? Why is it so bleak? Everything sucks. And then every single response was literally, bro, the point of life is to stop thinking about the point of life. And then that was it. And I was kind of amazed by this, because I was like, bro, aren't you literally a member of this existentialism subreddit? How are you criticizing someone for being existential? Like, that's kind of crazy. I thought it was kind of funny, but then at the same time, I was also like, okay, maybe this guy has a point. Maybe he's kind of spitting facts. Being on the existentialism subreddit has potentially given him understanding of existentialism. And I think he's cracked the code. Like, they kind of know that this thing that they all love, existentialism, is actually really stupid and makes no sense. Like, just live your life. And I was like, you know what? They're kind of spitting facts. They're kind of dropping truth bombs on me right now. But it did get me thinking. It did indeed have me like scratching my head a little bit. And I was kind of like, you know what? What is the point of life? Like, really, what do we have to do here? Like, we're toiling away, doing nothing. Like, why are we here? Especially in modern day society. Like, what is our purpose? Like, we have we have completely, like in the upper middle class US, we have completely conquered the need to like go out searching in the wild for our food, like build our own shelter. Like none of that stuff is done by the common man in the upper middle class United States of America. So it's like, if that is what we have been born and bred to do, like that is what evolution has created us for, then why are we still here? Like, what are we supposed to do now? Now that we've kind of won life, like as a species, we've kind of won. There's no higher on the food chain to go, right? Like we have gotten to the very top, which is I think the goal of most animals, right? Like they want to beat out their fellow animals. And I feel like we completed that task. I think that's fair to say. I don't know if you agree with me, but I'm going to say that is pretty fair to say. It's a fair assessment to make. And now we're just all like sitting here like in our rooms looking at screens in our hands, and we're like, what now? And I feel like the one thing that has stuck around like through the ages and persisted as a point of purpose for people across the lands is like having kids, right? Like I feel like that is the big thing where it's like, oh, once you have a kid, there you've pretty much eliminated the need to think about your purpose ever again, because it's right there in front of you. Like boom, you crack the code. And it is kind of a cheat code to being existential, because you no longer have any reason to be existential, because it's like, oh, my purpose now, raise this kid. That's it. I don't need to think about it anymore. I'm done. And then it's just like, okay, easy. And that's so much simpler than having to like say, oh, I have no one but me to worry about. Like, now what do I do? Like, it's like how do you grapple with that? So the easy way out really is just like, pop one out and just like deal with that. Like that, it presents a whole new set of challenges in your life. But I think that's like the easier path than trying to figure out what the purpose of life is. Like that is an impossible question to answer. And there's no answer to that question. Like there's no objective answer to it. It has an answer, I think, on an individual case by case basis for each person. And that's what makes it so challenging. And that's why people get trapped on r/existentialism. Like it seems like all the people who are on that subreddit had been there for years. Like it was a purgatory in which they were all trapped and no one could leave. And until they figured out the answer to their questions, no one could exit this horrid plane of existence. And it was almost like I just beat Bloodborne. So I'm also thinking about Bloodborne a lot, which kind of ties in to the existentialism thing. Because it kind of feels like, if you've ever played Bloodborne, they're like hunters who are like trapped, forced to kill monsters, and they're like stuck in the hunter's dream, which is basically just like a place where you go once you become a killer of monsters in the game, and you're trapped there and you can't leave until like someone frees you. And I kind of like, that's how it felt being on r/existentialism. Like they were all Bloodborne hunters, and I was like, okay, I'm not cut out for this. I gotta go quick before they spot me and put me in shackles along with them, because otherwise I'll be stuck here for the rest of my life, and I don't want that. So I had to make a swift exit. But after making that swift exit, I was still kind of mulling over the questions that had been presented to me. Very simple questions, like not questions I hadn't thought about before. But seeing it all in one place like that, it definitely made it a little bit more, thought-provoking to me, because I was like, oh, here's every, question about life all condensed into a single space. Like I can consume it all at once and think about it at the same time. And because of that, I was like kind of later, I think this was actually today, where I was like, okay, let me do some investigation. And I was like kind of looking up some numbers, thinking about it. And I saw that something like, I forget the exact number, but it was something like 80% of women aged like 40 to 45 or something had children. And that was a crazy, staggering statistic to me. And it was like echoed across multiple different sources. So I was like, okay, this is not like a made up number. Like these seem to be real numbers, unless all of these people are lying, which would be kind of crazy. It would be funny, to be honest. I would like that reality, but I don't think that's true. I think they were telling the truth, and that really changed everything for me. Like, genuinely, I hadn't even thought about that, but 80% of women being mothers at the age of like 40 to 45 or whatever it was, like, that's absurd. Is that not absurd to anyone else? Like, that's kind of crazy and much higher than I thought for some reason. Like, I knew, actually, no, I didn't even think that the vast majority of people would, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of new gen, right? Like, I'm in this kind of Gen Z mindset where we're kind of, we're less concerned about, I feel like, having kids, it seems so far, than like previous generations a little bit, like marginally so. So I guess that kind of played into it for me, but it was also just like amazing to me how every single, like, the vast majority of people have found their purpose in being parents. And like, that may not be true. Like, you know, a lot of those people who have had kids maybe put them up for adoption, or, you know, had them relegated off to a family member to take care of or whatever. But I think a lot of those people, even if that's the case, still find a little bit of their purpose in the fact that they have a kid somewhere out there. Like that, just that knowledge, I think, is very powerful. And I was like, oh, so what about the other 20% of women who didn't have kids? Like, what did they do in their 40s and 50s? Like, what is their thing? And then I remembered that dogs exist. And I was like, okay, this is definitely it. I think I cracked the code here. So I looked at some figures for that as well. And it was something like 60% of all pet owners like don't have a kid in the house. So like, either they don't have a kid or their kid has grown up and they don't have to take care of them anymore. So that's definitely a thing. Like, after your kid is gone, or if you don't have a kid in the first place, like, you turn to pets, which makes sense. And that shed a bright light on everything. I was kind of like, okay, I think I found something out here. I think I've discovered a secret. Got to share this with the fans. gotta let them know what is lurking out there in the real world. I'm doing my sleuthing, bro. I'm doing my sleuthing just for you, because I know all of you are so confused about how the world works. You just as much as me. You didn't even know that children existed until just now. I'm just now telling you this. So, huge news for the unemployed. I did believe Bloodborne, though. That was a huge development for me. I took, I think, exactly 1 year to beat the game. Longest time I've ever played any game for, I think. An unreasonable amount of time to take to beat a game, especially Bloodborne, which isn't supposed to take that long to beat, according to the numbers that I saw online. So it made me feel a little bit stupid for that. But then I actually looked at my hours on my save file, and I realized I only had like 50 hours on the save, according to the Elden Ring game, unless my save got like corrupted or something, and they're showing me wrong numbers. But it seemed like I spent a reasonable amount of time on it. It was just spread out over an unreasonable amount of time in the long run. So that's why, for those of you who are criticizing me in the comments, because I know you fiends were screaming at me for taking so long to beat Bloodborne, that's why it took me so long, okay? But having now beat it, I am very, very interested by the story of it. I quite enjoyed it. Obviously, having consumed it over such a long period, I forgot most of it. So I did kind of look it up online to clarify some things, because I was confused at the end. I was like, why is this way? Whatever. But I figured it out, I think, for the most part. And I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought it was a really fun story. For those of you who don't want mild Bloodborne spoilers, feel free to skip the rest of the video. But basically, the story is kind of about a group of people, or like a city that found contact with an alien race, and they basically built their entire society around that alien race. And they found out that like doing blood ministration, I don't know how to say the word, blood ministration or something. Well, someone out there knows the word I'm trying to say. But that can like cure illness and whatever, but it also turns people into like beasts. So they start turning into fiends out there. And it's a pretty fun storyline because it's so fleshed out for no reason. Like, I was like, how is there this much detail in it? No one would ever notice this, but people did notice it. And that's why it became so popular, is because they put so much effort into making details that the average person wouldn't care about. So the geeks and freaks out there, they got their fill. They got to say, oh, I am fully engaged in this world and there's nothing to pull me away from it, because it's like completely, filled out, and any questions I may have, they have an answer. And I, like, for the most part, I think there is some level of desire to, like, figure out answers for yourself as well. So some things went unanswered, I think, in the game itself, but they left the trail, the puzzle pieces for people to pick up so that they could kind of solve the unanswered questions on their own time. And then that gave people another reason to love the game, because they're like, oh, I feel like I figured this out. Like, I pieced together the story myself a little bit as well. And I think that also contributed. So there's a lot of reasons why Bloodborne, I think, is beloved, across cultures. But I think those are the main ones. And the thing I think that was so cool to me about it is that the story itself felt very ancient, not like in a bad way. I mean, like in a timeless sort of way. Like, it felt like a story that I'd read in an old book from, like, the prehistoric times, like when writing was just invented. Like, this is the kind of story they'd write, because it was all about trying to connect with something that's, like, bigger than humanity, and, like, trying to figure out why, the purpose behind why we're here and whatnot. Like, that is a huge piece of history. Like, for so long, that is all cultures were built on. And that was such an important thing to people, and still is an important thing to people. But in Bloodborne, that's taken to a whole new level, because now they've been exposed to this even bigger piece where it's like, oh, wait, there are these huge aliens that have, like, more power over, more power, control, and knowledge over what's going on here than we could ever understand. How can we get more like them? Like, we want, like, that was the natural progression of, like, oh, we figured out that there's these aliens that know more than us. How do I get me like you? Like, that was the thing that people immediately jumped to. And so there were all these different factions in the world of Bloodborne that took different approaches to trying to connect with these, greater beings. And that led to a bunch of different, crazy things that happened in the game. People went insane and stuff. But it felt like a dream that someone might have had when, like, back before, like, modern technology and back before things were crazy. Like, it felt almost like I don't know, like something Franz Kafka would have written, like, not that he's that old of a guy, but, like, that as an example, like, he's written pretty, important, like, timeless texts. And I feel like this is something he would have loved, the guy would have been a big proprietor of it if he had been exposed to it, And I think, to be honest with you, that is, like, an underlying component of what makes it so good. It was also, like, it was based off of other works, so it had inspiration taken from other places, and, like, I think that is part of also what makes it so fun to expose yourself to, because there's, like, there's a lot to see. And the overexposure on this image is, like, impossible to draw. Like, I love it. It's really a great vibe that you've got going here. And I don't mean to dog on, whatever you're trying to achieve, but I do think it is kind of impossible to indicate form when there is no shading whatsoever on the image. Like, that is, you're providing me with a challenge, like a real challenge that I have not really been pushed to before. So I appreciate you, and I also despise you. So we have a, you know, two kind of feelings at war here that I feel towards the person who created this image. But I think that's good. I think that's a sign of goodness and greatness, and we are proving to the world that we can do amazing things like draw overexposed pictures and make them look bad. I was gonna say good, but no, I had to stop myself, which I always do. I'm always like, oh, I was gonna say it was good, but it's true. It's true. This one and most of the things I do are not very great. But that's, you know, part of living, part of growing up is making mistakes. So, you know, that's that. But I don't know. I feel like it's interesting to hear on the existentialism Reddit, like specific anecdotes of what other people think is their purpose. Because that is very interesting as well. And like, where do other people find excitement in life? Like, what is something that drives you to get up in the morning? Like, that is something that's very interesting because it differs so drastically from person to person, and everybody experiences like life in a different way. And especially, I think, because of how like crazy small the human mind is, society has evolved too far to the point where you cannot understand it. Like, it's impossible for you as a mere mortal to like understand everything that's happening across the land. Like right now, at this exact moment, someone is like holding their brother in their arms as they collapse and take their last final breath. And this is the worst day of their life. At the same time that that's happening, at this exact same moment, someone else is on their honeymoon and they're like having a ball. They're having a blast. And like, this is a moment they're going to remember forever. And this is potentially, you know, something that they're going to look back on in the photo book in a couple years and be like, wow, this was my peak. I really peaked at this honeymoon here. This was great. And then like somewhere else, someone is like trying their best to train for like a crazy race. Like, everyone is doing all the different things that could possibly happen to a person at the same time right now. Like, all the highs and all the lows are happening simultaneously, but just in different people's lives. And that is absurd to think about. Like, when you think about that, it really I don't know, for me at least, it boggles my mind. Like, I'm like, how am I supposed to like navigate a world that's this vast? There's so much happening. And the answer truly is like, just ignore it. Like, ignore everything you don't care about and focus on the things that excite you, because that is the only way you can do this without going insane. And that's pretty much what everyone on the existentialism Reddit said. So I think they've got some kind of knowledge on the topic at hand. They understand it a little bit. I'll give them some credit. You know, credit where credit's due. The existentialism Reddit guys over there, they've got some ideas of how the world works in a slight bit. You know, sometimes on Reddit, people will say the most absurd things. And I know this is like something that you're aware of. Like, obviously, this is how the internet works. But it's still crazy to me to see it happen live in action. Because some people, I think, genuinely have a desire to just make others upset, which is funny. And I think that's great that they're able to find enjoyment out of that. What's not great is that it does actually make the other person upset. Like, it functions. If we could make it so that all the rage baiters can feel like they're rage baiting someone, but secretly the other person isn't rage baited on the other end, I think that would be a perfect place for us to progress to as a functioning internet society. That's where we need to go. I think if anything needs to be improved upon, like, out of all the diseases that could be cured, you know, all the things that could happen right now, the things that could be studied, we need to jump immediately on making sure the rage baiters don't actually rage bait. That is priority number one. And then after that gets done, you know, we can move on to all that other stuff, you know, cancerous warts and whatnot, you know, like, that's all wish-washy nonsense compared to the importance of of internet drama. We all know this. As citizens of the world, we all know this, and we must know this because it's so important. I'm joking. Obviously, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's a little kid. I like to kid around, okay? I like to kid around. And I'm not talking like a child goat. Isn't that what they're called? Kids? Goats children are called kids. Much like human children. Which is weird, actually. Why do we have the same name as like goats? We're nothing like goats. I mean, I guess some of us are goats, you know, obviously. We do have some goats hidden among us. But for the most part, the vast majority of us are not goats. We're just like normal dudes. And I think it quite odd. I think it quite odd that we attribute that title to ourselves. To be honest with you, I'm not a big fan. You know what I might have to do? I might just have to do. Is that absurd? Is that crazy to do? I don't think that's crazy to do. I do think maybe we can do this. Sorry. I hate to have the Windows ding sound in the video. It makes me feel like an idiot, but it's also raw and real and awesome. I think something that my favorite and only viewer King had told me is that the appeal, if any, like if he had to pinpoint a single point of appeal, which is quite a challenge, you know, I do not underestimate the sheer extreme mental gymnastics that one has to go through just to think of this as a viable use of your time. But if he was to pinpoint a single thing that made these videos exciting, he said that it was like the relatability and the chill guy factor. Like he felt like he was just being ranted to by a friend, which is I think mostly what I was going for. So I think goal is mostly, for the most part, generally achieved. So I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy that he thinks that, because I hoped that would be the case. I looked at the YouTube analytics page, and it told me all the videos that it was recommending my videos under, and they were all freaky as hell. Like, I knew, obviously, just because I wasn't seeing like any viewers, that I'm not getting recommended under that many videos, right? That is something that I'm well aware of, and I don't expect to, because I don't really offer anything that crazy. But what really, really, really took me by surprise and threw me for quite the loop was the fact that the videos I was recommended under were like videos titled, "I just murdered my grandmother, and this is what happened." Like, literally, I think that was verbatim the title of a video I was recommended under. And I was like, what are we doing? Like, I genuinely was under the impression that YouTube's I don't know, underlying systems, whatever AI they got running, were smart enough to recognize that this is not a video about murdering people. Like, I figured they'd understand that much, but I guess not. I guess it's a more primitive system than I initially had given them credit for, which is very, very disappointing. I really thought that their platform was a lot more advanced than that. I feel like I was misled by Google, the corporation, into thinking that they had some kind of master coders on their hands that had, created, basically, even before generative AI was a thing. Like, I had thought that YouTube behind the scenes had some kind of crazy artificial intelligence working behind the curtain, And I think after reading those videos that I've been recommended under, I'm now on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. I think it might just be a mouse, like, randomly running across a keyboard, and whatever keys he clicks is what goes. I think that might be how they run things over there, which is honestly way better, like way more awesome. And it's kind of like I feel like that's like a movie, like a children's movie plot. Like in Wreck-It Ralph, when they showed like all the different platforms, like that is something that they would have had for YouTube, is like a little mouse. Maybe that even was in Wreck-It Ralph. I don't know. Let me know if I stole that from Wreck-It Ralph. Okay, so despite the fact that I was complaining about there being no contrast, I made the values less dark than they are in the actual image, which is crazy to me because I was literally like screaming and crying about it, and then I proceeded to like make it worse than it actually is, which is fucked up to say the least. We really do the worst things to ourselves. We are our biggest ops. If you take anything away from this video, it is that you are your biggest op. You are your own biggest op, and you must combat the struggles that you impose upon yourself. That is what life is. That's the purpose of life, is fighting against yourself. Here we go. Okay. But that kind of whole existential line of thought, I feel like all tied together with everything that I was seeing on that like sequence of days all at once. Like it was like existentialism subreddit, beating Bloodborne, seeing like the post about the guy saying, "Oh, I feel so bad for small YouTubers." Like I feel like the guys who are posting to 0 viewers every day and clearly not in it for the views, even though for some reason it seemed like that guy might have been in it for the views. He was like, "I can't keep doing this anymore if I'm not getting views." And in my head, I was like, oh, so you do care about the views. Why exactly are you making this kind of content then? Like, why are you purposefully not titling your videos in a way that people will click on them and making them have no thumbnail? Like, this seems odd. But then, you know, I shooed that thought aside very quickly, and I was like, you know what? Size up. Get to your senses. Obviously, this guy knows more than you. Shut up. Shut your trap. You're just a low life with no prospects and no future. Get your shit together. You need to respect your elder. So I was like, okay, you know what? Forget it. I didn't even know what I was saying in the first place. So maybe this guy's right. Maybe he has all the answers. I couldn't really tell you. But there are some really fun YouTube channels. Like I have found myself just enjoying scrolling on the small YouTuber subreddit because people will just obviously self-advertise their YouTube channel. And then it will just be like a channel where they literally just post videos of like Carfax. And it's not like it's not like a crazy exciting like Carfax channel where they show the car in real life and they're like, today I'm gonna be riding in this new Porsche. Like, it's not even that. It's just straight up, hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna tell you 10 facts about the new Toyota. And it's like, okay, I love that for you. I love that for you because not only do those channels exist, but they get traction. Like the people know what they want to see. So I guess, you know, the whole niche thing, it has some legs after all. And I was dogging on the wrong enemies, you know? I need to focus my fire elsewhere, so to speak. Bloodborne, by the way, I don't know why I'm talking about Bloodborne again, but Bloodborne, by the way, one very interesting thing that I found immediately upon booting up the game for the first time, like a year ago, was that it offers you a gun as like the first weapon you get, and you carry a gun everywhere you go throughout the entire rest of the game after you get it. But you actually you're not encouraged to do ranged attacks, and the gun doesn't do any damage. The entire purpose of because I'd never played a Souls game before, so I don't know if this is a thing in other Souls games. I would imagine it is. But I was like, oh, a gun. Okay, so I'm probably going to be shooting people from afar at points in the game. And it really surprised me. The entire combat system of Souls-likes that I hadn't been exposed to before was really unearthed but during my Bloodborne playthrough, and I was exposed to some great things. But that was one of them that I was like, okay, this is odd. Like I've never seen this before. There were a lot of points like that because I'd never played a Souls game before, obviously, but it was a pretty fun experience anyway. Like I think actually not anyway, that enhanced it. I think playing Bloodborne as your first Souls game is kind of crazy. Like it was a lot to handle. I'm not gonna lie to you. If I had to recommend somebody to play Bloodborne and then they went on to tell me that they hadn't played a Souls game before, I'd say, you know what? Do your homework first. Like maybe play Elden Ring. Just like go through it and beat a couple bosses or two. What am I saying? Beat a couple bosses, you know, and then maybe come back and we can talk about doing some silly stuff over here in Bloodborne, because Bloodborne's a whole other beast. The entire story of it is like so hidden behind so many doors. Like you have to actively piece it together while you're playing. Like it doesn't just tell you what's happening, and the cutscenes are so vague. It's like, unless you're really paying full attention, you're going to be so lost. It is, and I think that's what makes the game so awesome, to be honest, in my opinion. I didn't enjoy it as much as some other people seemed to, but I appreciate it for what it is. And I think if I was a better gamer, it would have been a lot more fun, because I found myself stuck, like hard stuck on every single boss, and I just had to get myself up to like max level on all my stats before I could even beat a single one of them, because I was like, I don't know, I was so out of my element, and I didn't expect that. I was kind of like, oh, you know, it's supposed to be a hard game, but I've been playing games a while. I can probably do this. I have not been playing games a while, bro. I played Minecraft as a kid. That's the extent of my gaming knowledge. And you've seen how bad I am at Minecraft if you've watched any of my videos. So you know that is not like that's not good. My Minecraft experience is very, very, very bad for any other game. It's not a transferable skill, considering that I can't even play it correctly. And that's like the simplest game ever. So, you know, life goes on. Actually, I remember when I was a kid, this is unrelated, kind of related, but it just popped in my head. I remember as a kid getting so upset when people would say Minecraft looks bad, even though it obviously does. Like, that's kind of the point, right? Like, it's not supposed to look good. But as a kid, like, I remember my parents would see me playing Minecraft. They'd catch it out of the corner of their eye, and they'd be like, "Why are you playing that game, bro? It looks so shit." And I was like, dude, first of all, fuck off. Like, you don't know anything. You don't know anything about games, bro. What do you know about games? And then second of all, it does look like shit. You're right. You caught me. Okay. It does look bad, but you have no place to speak on that. Okay. And for the first time ever the other day, I was like, you know what? Minecraft does look bad. Like, I looked at it from the perspective of someone who hadn't been looking at it their whole life for a second. Like, I had a brief moment of like Minecraft ego death. I was like separated from my body. I was like, you know what? Minecraft is horrible. Like, it looks terrible. I've never seen a game that looks this bad. You know what? The people, the haters, they had some sauce to it. They were kind of right about this one. And I hate to give one to the haters, but sometimes, you know, credit where credit's due, as I like to say. A phrase I invented myself. Mind you, I'm kind of the goat of all time. I kind of invented every phrase that you use in the modern day. A swift kick in the pants, that was me. What else did I do? You know, blow this popsicle stand, classic white boy phrase, that was me. That was all me, dude. I was in my room for days on end cooking that one up. The bosses, they came up to me, they said, "Hey bro, you know, you've done some great work with kicking the pants. We need another one. The people are fiending for another one. We need another one." And I was like, "Don't worry, dude. No need to freak. I got you, bro." And then, you know, don't you know it? Out popped one of the greatest phrases to ever grace mankind. So, safe to say, I'm kind of a cultural icon. A ghostwriter of life, actually. Some call me. That's like my nickname. You know, I don't want to be too crazy. I like to stay humble over here, but that is actually what people call me. So, you know, can't lie about the truth. Can't lie about the truth. I don't know what that means. Let me just do a quick little. I don't know how to fix that. That is unfortunate that looks like that. But you know what? We persist and we live on, and the legend continues. The legend of me, that is. Yeah, it persists, and you're a part of it. Especially if you enjoyed this little chat that we've had today. And if you did, please feel free to drop a like and share any thoughts you may have in the comments down below. In any case, that's all I got for you today. Thank you so very much for your time. I've been Pat Dan. You've been great. Until next time, kick rocks, pal. Bye-bye.